Biggest Tbull here. Today we got to look at the Bismarck in action. There's Celiax, we got Haruna, I believe, and Von Hipper. Both of those inspirations increase secondary distance and accuracy. Ship build, balls to the walls secondary. Everything that can boost the secondaries on this build we got. Alright, we'll talk more about the build in a little bit here. Fault line domination mode. Before we jump into it, the hunt for 20k subscribers, we can see the goalposts through the binoculars. Getting relatively close. It'd be great if we could hit it this week. Then for next week when the update drops, I'm going to be streaming anyways, but we could have a bunch of prizes. Do the celebration stream on next Monday. 40% of you guys watch the videos aren't subscribed, so if you did hit the subscribe button, we could actually hit it today if we wanted to. Anyways, appreciate all the support, everyone running up to the 20k. It's been a wild ride. Jumping into the match here, what do we got? We got Cruiser Battleship, Cruiser Battleship and the kid in front of us. Now, usually in fault line, we talk about fault line a lot. A lot of times that south end of the map there, the red team in this case, they're going to congregate south of A. So we should expect up to 6 ships over here in the next 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, that's usually how they deploy. The entirety of that 6-ship formation is going to be in the bottom left quadrant of the map, but they're actually going to be playing B a little bit, so they don't overload here quite as much. I think we went up with a 4v3, but we're pulling in aggressively. I want to get as close to that island in front of us as we can here, hoping because we got good support, the kids moving forward, we got this cruiser moving forward here. Any destroyer that pops up here, we'll go ahead and wrangle them to the ground, and then we'll just brawl any cruisers or battleships behind us. Bismarck can be difficult. That's why I like to run it in AI more, is because getting it in a position where we can actually use these fireworks consistently and effectively, that's difficult. Because a lot of these high tier games, your teams will drop anchor, they'll pop it in reverse, get up, leave the room, go fix themselves a snack. You'll never see them again. And in that case, you try to push forward, you're going to get focused, you're going to get burned. Doesn't lend itself to a fun experience, so it can be tough to get the Bismarck in these positions. But this map, this flank over here, another reason we want to pull forward, preventing these crossfires from B. So there's multiple reasons, but we're just kind of going all in here. We're going to get reset there, but that's not the end of the world. Just pressuring the space, making sure that they don't want to push into the space. If we can capture A right off the bat, we're going to capture B. We got some torps there. They're not North Carolina torps. We know that. Could be a destroyer, could be a cruiser. But if we're shoving these ships back, which is the game plan, then we're going to get the caps. And you can see if our team goes over there, we should be able to get all 3 caps relatively easily this match. Kid goes around the island, spots the Bismarck, gets a little bit of return fire there. And then here's the Benson. He pops up on the screen over here. Secondaries go off a little bit. He disengages behind there. We're going to go ahead and pop the sonar here to ensure we don't get hit with torps, or a lot of torps at least. But since we're pushing into them anyways, we're going to gun the engine here, try and make sure that we don't get wrecked by these ships. But whenever you got a Bismarck pushing into you, destroyer, cruiser, you think you're in the smoke or you're in cover or whatever, you got to remember they got this high tier German, basically the same sonar that the cruisers got. Ours is 4-4 distance on here to detect surface ships. I think that's the same as the cruisers. The cruisers might be 4-5, I can't remember for sure, but either way, we got extended reach on here, so very dangerous. And it's easy to forget about this aspect of this Bismarck when we're playing destroyers, cruisers. Speaking of cruisers, the Miyoko pulling forward here. We can expect he's probably trying to launch some torps, or God knows what he's thinking. But the secondaries are doing some good work on him. And here we're pushing forward. We're trying to dodge the torps, so he's changed course a little bit there. And now we got Benson. He's in the sonar range. He's sitting there thinking, well, how am I getting spotted? Oh no, why are these secondaries tearing me to shreds? They're knocking out my engine, knocking out the steering gears. Got the torps off. Good job getting the torps there. But we get advanced warning because of the sonar. And meanwhile, we're just making sure he goes down. Even if he wrecks us here, that's still a good play because they only have 2 destroyers this game. We've eliminated half of their destroyer fleet. That hampers their ability to reclaim these caps that we got control of. And note our team's thinking about finally moving into C here for the trifecta of cap domination. So this is a very strong start here. You can see we're tied in ships. They've actually killed 2 of our ships, but we're still in the lead. 2 battleships to a destroyer. So we got a lot of built-in points here. Destroyers, of course, worth less than battleships when it comes to the score. So even though we're down ships that are worth a lot of points according to the game, because our team's playing the caps, because we've driven them off and they're not really pushing back into them, we got a healthy lead here. So not a good setup for red. very good setup for blue. And these domination mode games, if you can get this early cap lead, your chances of winning that game are going to climb way up. Miyoko, Bismarck coming around here. We still have the battleship to the left of the screen as well. So we got 3 ships over here potentially shooting at us. And then you can see on the map we got another ship trying to push into A. It's actually going to be a Bayern. Bayern's tier 5. What's he doing in tier 7? Just poor job choosing ships. You always want to play the same tier as your teammate. You might say to yourself, well, I'm so good, it doesn't matter. But your team might not appreciate being on an automatic disadvantage just because you don't want to pick the correct ship. So if you're going to play tier 6, because you can get put in tier 7, make sure you're both playing the tier 6 ships. That's my advice. Here's the Bayern. Now the Bayern, of course, no torpedo threat. We're going to try and angle over here. I'd actually swing the back of the ship. You can see the Citadel on the Miyoko. I'd swing the back of the ship towards the camera, watching this back. We're actually going to swing it back towards this Bayern here, but that does present some broadside to those ships to the left of the screen that are shooting at us. I'm trying to pull back here. I get it. I'm trying to get that island between us and them, making sure they can't hit us. But if we want to make sure we're not taking juicy shots, we might want to change the angle. And either way, it's pretty effective here. Bayern's getting wrecked. We got secondaries going off left and right, setting fires. We're going to try and knock out these turrets repeatedly, and that's one of the advantages of these strong secondary setup. If we light the fire, they might be tempted to put the fire out, especially if they get multiple fires. Then the damage con's on cooldown, and here we get some shots like this, where we're going to be specifically aiming for the turrets, knock 2 turrets out. He can't fix that at this point in time. He's in trouble. He's going to be in trouble anyways, but he, of course, wants to sink us before he goes down, if possible. But the team and the withering secondary / main gun attack from the Bismarck takes him out. So we've got firm control of the western side of the map here. They're not really challenging B. They're not really challenging C. Tied in terms of ships, though. And we're kind of low here on our health. We should be checking our team, checking the red team, making sure that the HP is relatively even. If they're up big time, red decides to aggressively push into us, start wiping us out, they can still win the base. We'd want to play a little bit more conservatively at that point in time. But we're trying to get in the middle of the map here. We got a lot of targets to the south end of the map. So we want to begin to put some crossfire pressure on these guys. North Carolina, Alabama, we're going to move into position there. Did briefly want to touch base on the build again, though. So this Celiax, balls to the wall, everything to do with secondaries. You can see the secondary performance outstanding. And they've buffed the secondaries numerous times now. They're getting decent. If you can get the ship in the position to utilize the secondaries, it's actually a pretty good attack, okay? But maybe we want to use Celiax instead of slot 4, the perk that boosts this consumable on the screen there, the secondary consumable. Maybe we'd rather go with 2 heals, 2 extra heals. That's what a lot of people would do with the Celiax build. Maybe we only want to use 1 secondary mod on the ship. So if you want to use Celiax, you want to go for secondaries, I don't blame you. That, of course, is one of the strengths of the ship. But you might want to consider, do I want to go all in? And just because I play this build on this ship doesn't mean I would necessarily recommend it as a pro-grade build. It's more of a, let's just see how far we can push this thing type of a build. And it can be quite fun. If you get games like this where you're actually able to push in, then the secondary is withering, effective and enjoyable to watch. But like we said earlier, a lot of the games tier 7 people like to play on the moon, or at least in outer space, orbiting the Earth. They don't want to get too close to the action, so they stay as far back as possible. In those cases, you can try and do that with the Bismarck, but if you got a secondary build, you're not going to be able to hit anything. We know that for sure. And even if you have a little bit more of an accuracy build, you're still taking some of the least accurate ships in the game, these German battleships. So they're not meant to be played long range. You got to be constantly thinking to yourself, when can I safely get close to these guys? And whenever that opportunity presents itself, you got to pursue it. You don't want to just sit there back in the back line lobbing shots. You can, if you're all in on the accuracy, you can get some decent salvos, but you're still going to be at a disadvantage compared to pretty much all the other battleships. That's my advice. And the turtleback, which protects our Citadel close range at long range / max range, then you can actually get Citadeled in these things. So you don't Citadel Gneisenau, Scharnhorst, Bismarck, Tirpitz, those type of ships too often, but when you do, it's almost always at near max range. So they're designed to be played as close as possible. You just gotta wait to do so as safely as possible. You can't just go in there balls to the wall and get melted down game after game. Not going to be effective. Not going to be fun. So I don't know. When we compare the Bismarck now to when it launched, that was probably what, almost 2 years ago. Much better place for sure. You know, right out of the gate, we all wanted to love the Bismarck. We all wanted to have a huge secondary build, but it didn't take long once we started testing the ship to realize it's not really that good. Let's go with Von Hipper or whatever his name is. Yeah, I think it's Von Hipper. Go for the accuracy build, sacrifice some secondary performance, which kind of defeats the purpose of playing this line. Yeah, it's still a really tanky line if you're pointing at the shots coming at you, as long as they don't emanate from a Yamato, you can really protect yourself, but we want the offense as well. So that's coming into play now where the Bismarck's at. Anyway, that's going to do it for that one. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. We got lots of World of Warships coming all the time. Questions, comments, leave below. Love to hear from you, and see y'all later. Peace.